Good morning and welcome to today's session of Moments with Clara. As you know, for the past several sessions, we've been talking about complicated grief, specifically death by suicide. Not everyone is going to understand this grief that parents go through when a child takes his or her own life, but I feel it's critically important for us to address this topic and to take a deeper look into the grief, the specific grief that parents go through. And that's what we've been doing. If you missed the first two sessions, please go back and check out those sessions on part 1 and part 2. Today is part 3, and this part is about getting some kind of help for parents who are going through this specific grief of the loss of a child by suicide. I cannot explain strongly enough that support is needed. Seek support. Either seek the support of friends online, friends in person, a therapist, a group therapy session that you can attend, but support is critical to you getting through this grief. This particular grief needs lots and lots of specific help. There are layers of grief with the death when a child dies by suicide. Layers upon layers. We talked about that. There's self-blame, there's guilt, there's trauma, there's PTSD, there's all kind of additional grief stressors that must be dealt with and that can't be dealt with alone. Also, expect setbacks. Don't think that this is a cakewalk, because it isn't. And I know that every parent who has experienced the death of a child by suicide understands this. This is a lifetime, lifelong grief. It's going to take time to make any type of forward movement in your ability to live with any amount of joy. There will be moments when you feel like you've been set all the way back again and you're starting from square one. That's normal. This is a normal process in this type of complicated grief. So expect setbacks. Allow yourself a timeout just to regroup your thoughts, regroup your support, and start over again. That's so critically important. Be an advocate for those who have gone through the trauma and the death of suicide. What do I mean by that? I mean, tell your story. Don't be afraid to tell your story. I know that not everybody's going to want to listen, but there are those of us who will. I know that many of you belong to the Silent Grief Facebook page. We have a lot of support there for parents who have lost a child to suicide. Tell your story. Tell your story to whoever will listen, because it's important that we break the stigma associated with death by suicide. Let's face it, suicide happens every day. We know that the suicide count is growing. There are numerous reasons why. There are mental health issues that are not being addressed properly. There's not proper help out there. We know bullying happens, to younger people, actually to everyone. There are all ages that get bullied. People get to a point where they can't handle it and they feel like the only way out is to end their life. We need to speak out. We need to be allies. We need to be advocates for those who have taken their lives, for those who are struggling and who have thought about it. We need to speak out, speak up, tell our story, and begin breaking the stigma associated with suicide. I just really can't say that enough. I think it's time. I think we've been silent too long. We've allowed others to silence us on this topic. And no, it's not a pleasant topic to talk about. Child loss in and of itself is not ever pleasant. but we need to talk about it. We need to tell our stories. We need to get the support that we owe ourselves and the support that is needed to move along in life. Otherwise, we just carry this heavy burden of guilt, of aloneness, of the whole guilt of losing a child, and we do it without help, and the burden of guilt is too heavy. It truly is. It will wear us down to the point where we no longer find any joy in life, and we don't want that to happen. Lastly, please know that time does help. Time in and of itself does not heal, but time truly does help soften the blow of loss. In any incident, it does. No matter how difficult, how painful, when we allow ourselves the gift of time, we will find that the grief is not so raw. Additionally, when you have support, when you have others who have experienced the same type of loss, you cannot put into words the amount of grief that will be lifted from your hearts. Please, please seek support. I will try to link you up with some online grief support groups that are specific to suicide. I think that might help you. Post your story if you feel comfortable enough telling your story in the comments below. We are here. I am here. I want to listen. I validate your grief. I know it's horrendous, and my love and prayers are with you. Together, when you do the things that I have suggested, I do believe you can and you will get to a point in life where you can manage the guilt, the grief, the sorrow, and you will begin to find joy again. Your child would not want you to suffer for the rest of your life with this burden. I hope that something that has been said today is an encouragement to you. I know there are not specific answers. There never are with the grief and loss of a child. You and I know that. There are so many open-ended questions, and we know this grief lasts forever. But it is my hope and prayer that something that has been said will encourage you to keep on keeping on. Get outside today if you can. Enjoy a little bit of sunshine. If the sun is shining in your area, allow the sun to just touch your face. Be warmed by it. Realize and tell yourself over and over again that your hope is always bigger than your grief. My love to you. I pray that you have a softer day in your grieving today. I will be back tomorrow with more Moments with Clara.